Hey, welcome back to another video. Wanted to chat about getting, I don't know, what's the right word, too emotionally charged on everything that's going on. I had someone ask me a question the other day talking about attorneys. They had a kind of a blowout with their attorney. And the question to me was, had my attorney ever threatened to, fire me, or not fire me, but, basically not be my attorney anymore. And it got me thinking about back in the early part of all this, whenever I was completely emotionally a wreck, which is completely understandable. I mean, that's part of the problem on some of this stuff. There's so much that you have every right to be completely stressed. I mean, your whole world is upside down. Your finances are crazy. Your family's falling apart. Your safety zone, or the security of your home life, is obliterated. And it's really easy to be, what did I used to call it? Like primed to the pissed off position. In other words, just completely anxiety filled and stressed, and negatively interacting with that. And I absolutely had that with my attorney. I mean, hell, I kind of felt at some point that the paralegal was just antagonizing me, telling me stuff to get me angry just to generate billable hours. That went over like a lead balloon, by the way, with the attorney's office. Because at the time, that paralegal was the main guy's wife. But they did transfer over who I was going to talk to going on from there. But there were a lot of times where I was really arguing and getting irritated with my legal representation. The one thing you have to remember, I'll just say this right off the bat, is you want somebody besides your attorney to help you deal with your emotional issues. Find a therapist, find a friend you can complain to, but what you want to do when you talk to your attorney, you want to be very businesslike and calm and collected as much as you possibly can. Now, as I say that, I absolutely was not that. That was not me. I was just not happy. There were a few times I was yelling at my attorney because the situation was just so effed, was so messed up. So it's really important that you don't get into a confrontational thing with your attorney. Now, if you feel they're not representing you, and if you're thinking, going, well, wait a minute, yeah, they're not providing the right service. Well, then have a professional, calm discussion with them about it. And if they are not willing to represent you in the way that you are expecting, then you need to find somebody else. I mean, just because you pick somebody doesn't mean you have to stay with that person. But I mean, I get that. That's why it's super important to interview people and to really make sure you're picking the right person, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to go to somebody, give them a retainer, find out that they're not really the right person for you, and then have to go do it all over again, because most of the time the retainer's gone, so you've dropped $4,000 or whatever it is, and now you're going to have to drop another $4,000 to find the next person. The thing is that you have to be really cautious on how you respond to all of this. And again, I'm talking about this from experience and how I didn't have this channel or some other type of information that was providing this. I mean, there were a few people kind of giving this advice, but not in the context of any understanding of what was going on. And that's what I kind of hope that this channel and what I'm talking about helps, because I've been there. I mean, I can relate. I hope that from what you've seen with the hundreds or almost 1,000 videos now, that you can see somebody who is like, oh, okay, yeah, that story correlates with mine, and I can, this person gets it, right? So that I have credibility. So when I'm offering advice or I'm offering an analysis of what I went through, that you can look at and go, oh, okay, I can see what they're saying. I can see what you're saying, and that this makes sense. My point on this is that you have to find a spot to where you can be a little more calmer in this, so that your reactions so that you're not necessarily just reacting, but you're strategically making a decision on what you're doing. If I could have done that way back when, if I would have understood, and I would have had a mentor or a coach who could explain to me what was going on, saying, oh, well, this, and this is happening. I'm going, oh, yeah. And then it's like, okay, this is what you need to do. It would have been easier for me to take a breath, to calm down, and realize that I had a strategy that had the strong potential to win, and I could have relaxed. The problem that most of us have on this is we don't feel like our strategy is a winning strategy. We feel like everything's stacked against us. We have an ex who's poking us in the eye. Probably we have an ex who has an attorney, and that attorney is also poking you in the eye. And you feel like you're constantly jumping through flaming hoops and not making any progress. If you could take a breath and realize that most of what they're doing is total BS and not really necessarily going to be believed, then you can calm down and approach this in a more pragmatic manner. Again, this is something that I was unable to do, at least on the first go-around. On the second go-around, when we went back to court over the retirement stuff, the retirement savings, I was in a different mode because I wasn't freaked out. I was annoyed about the potential of having to give her 100% of the cash that was in the account. However, it wasn't like it was affecting my pay or affecting anything I needed to do. It wasn't like I needed that at that particular moment. So it wasn't anything that was, stressful. So it was easy for me to just kind of slow play everything and not get really wrapped up. Now, I will, to be honest, though, when they started trying to re-adjudicate, I don't know if that's the right word, but basically run me through a whole nother divorce, saying, oh, well, since we're back, you're a piece of crap, and you stole all this money, and you made bad decisions, and you undersold stuff. I mean, like, for instance, this truck, they're like, they were trying to make an issue out of the truck, and we had a travel trailer. We had a travel trailer that we rolled another travel trailer into, so it was a $20,000 trailer that we had to put a $30,000 note on to buy it. Well, not buy it, but to lease it, or rent, mortgage it, finance it. And the ex was convinced that that was an asset, and that when I sold that for what it was worth, fair market value, that I took a huge loss on it to deprive her of any cash out of it. So they tried to do that again. And that was getting annoying, but at the same time, it was like, I didn't care. It wasn't like before during the divorce, whenever the temporary support order was financially ruining me and making it to where I was about at the point to have to start sleeping under my desk at work because I couldn't afford the gas and electricity and everything. That was a different time, right? So my point is, though, is that it's imperative to try to find a way to look at your situation and say, okay, this sucks, but, I'm going to do the best I can. They're going to play all these stupid games. I need to keep myself calm and relaxed as much as possible, not react to what the thing is, because the whole purpose of that is to stress you out to get you to make bad decisions. It's to stress you out to where you make a mistake to where they can I was going to say court martial, but that's not the right word. But what's the word I'm looking for? Basically trap you to checkmate. That's what I'm looking for, to checkmate you. Or to get you to make a mistake that gets you, a DV charge or something like that. Or to get you where you're so stressed out that you're like, oh my God, I just want this over. Fine, whatever. I'll agree to anything. I'll agree to all this extra BS just to make this stop. And you got to keep yourself as calm as possible so you don't get goat roped into that. So I was able to calm myself. Getting back to the original part of this story with my attorney, they finally at one point pulled me aside and said, look, it was on the phone, but they basically said, look, if you do not feel like we are representing your interests in the best way, then maybe we just need to part ways. And that was kind of like, I knew I didn't have money to get another attorney. And for the most part, these guys were okay. So I calmed down and I started trying to adjust my interaction with them. And I hope that maybe listening to that, if you're having a hard time with yours, you can kind of like, okay, let's take an objective look out of this, take the emotion out of it and just ask yourself, are they representing you in the way that you want to be represented? Are you getting done what you need to get done? If the answer is no, then you have to consider firing them to find someone else, firing them to represent yourself, or just, you got to pick your battles too. I know I haven't talked about that in a while, but sometimes you just have to decide what exactly is it really worth fighting for? And if you guys want me to hit that topic again, because I haven't talked about that in a while, just put a comment, say yes in the comments below that you want me to cover that a little bit more, and I can hit another video on that. Hope that was helpful. Try to remain calm. You have every right to be angry. You have every right to be completely PO'd. You have every right to be completely stressed, but don't let it consume you to where you start making bad decisions. All right? So on that, I will catch you on the next video. Take care.